Hi, it's Kim here from the TSS. In today's video, we're going to look at some basic bracket racing math. So in these first two examples, we're going to be looking at calculating the total package and calculating the margin of victory. So in this first example, we have a dial in for racer A of 8.0, is 100th at the tree, is 100th over the dial in for a total package of 200ths. So it's reaction time plus over the dial in equals your total package. Racer B, on the other hand, has a dial-in of 9.0. It's 200ths reaction time, 100th over the dial-in, and we have a 300ths total package. So once again, reaction time plus the amount of time over the dial-in equals the total package. Now, to work out the margin of victory, so how far in front is one racer or the other at the finish line, what we need to do is find the larger of the two packages. So in this instance, racer B is 300ths over and racer A is 200ths. So 300ths minus 200ths equals 100. That's the margin of victory. So racer A in this instance gets to the finish line first by 100th. Let's just quickly check that out in the TSS. So here's that example in the TSS. Just simulate. We can see down here in the time slip pop-up that it is in fact 100th and it's 1.128 feet. So let's just play that. We'll just wait for it to get to the end. I'll zoom in a bit once we get there. Zoom in. And there's the margin of victory there, the 100th. So the difference between the light blue line and the yellow line. Now in example number 2, once again, we have the same dial-ins, but this time racer A has a reaction time of 300ths, is 200ths over the dial-in, giving us a total package of 500ths. Racer B, on the other hand, had a reaction time of 200ths, was 100th over the dial-in for a total package of 300ths. To calculate the margin of victory, 500ths minus 300ths equals 200ths. So let's see this example in the TSS. So here we have the example in the TSS, same settings as the spreadsheet. Simulate. Here's the margin of victory in time. We also have distance with the TSS. Press play. Just zoom out a bit until we get closer to the finish line. We're just looking for that margin of victory. There we go. So racer B in this instance gets to the finish line 200ths ahead of racer A. So that summarizes how you calculate your total package and also the margin of victory. A term that you'll often hear people speaking about is the idea of being locked out or being mathematically ineligible. To summarize what that means is where one racer's reaction time, so in this instance racer A, is more than the total package of the opponent. So in this instance, racer A had a reaction time of 400ths, but racer B's total package is 300ths. So the reaction time of 400ths is greater than 300ths, which means that there's no way that racer A can win this race over racer B. Because if they, for example, if they are able to get closer to their dial-in, so in this instance, if they were able to go dead on, they would still have a 400ths package. And if they were to go total package of, say, 200ths, they're going to have to break out to get in front of their opponent. So mathematically ineligible means that your reaction time is greater than your opponent's total package. Let's see a few examples in operation. So in this example, the right lane, racer B, is 200ths over, has the 200ths reaction time, 100th over, 300ths total package. The reaction time in the left lane, or racer A, is 400ths. So greater than the total package. And if we press play, just zoom out. And here you see that there's no way in this instance for racer A to be in front of racer B without breaking out. So this yellow line would have to be in front of the pink line here, which represents the dial-in. So there's no way that they could be here and not break out. Let's look at another example where racer A now is going to break out to try and beat their opponent. So similar situation, reaction time of 400ths is greater than the total package of racer B. They're going under in this instance by 300ths. Let's see that example in the TSS. So here's the example in the TSS. Let's press simulate. Okay. And this is showing you that in order to cross in front, racer A has to break out. And here we are. So they've crossed in front by 200ths in this instance. And they are breaking out. And there's no way they could cross in front without doing that because their reaction time is worse than the total package of their opponent. In these next three examples, I want to talk about the importance of reaction time. And having the reaction time advantage is of huge benefit to winning a race. So in this example, racer A has a 100th reaction time and racer B has a 200th reaction time. Now the difference between the reaction times is 200ths. So 300ths minus 100th is 200ths. Now, mathematically, if racer A can cross the finish line in front of racer B by 200ths or less, they cannot lose the race. So let's see that example in the TSS. So here we have the reaction time example in the TSS. To simplify this concept, both races are dialed in exactly the same, so 8 seconds. Both are going over the dial-in by 100th. The only difference is 200th in the reaction time. So press simulate. We see over here what we expect is 200ths advantage at the finish line. So this difference between the two races, between the blue line and the yellow line, is the reaction time difference. Okay, so as long as racer A here finishes 200ths or less in front of racer B, they cannot lose. Let's see another example. So here we are with another example about the importance of reaction time. Exactly the same setup. However, this time both races are going 300ths under their dial-in. Okay, so racer A still has the 200th reaction time advantage. And there we see the 200th. So press play. Now in this instance, both races are breaking out, but racer A will break out by less by being 200ths or less in front of racer B. And that shows here. So they got to the finish line first, they broke out, but they will break out by less than their opponent. So in this example, I want to talk about one other concept, is what happens if you don't have the reaction time advantage? What can you do? Well, it's the opposite of having the reaction time advantage. If you can't cross in front of your opponent, you need to get at least, in this instance, 200ths or more behind. So you need to be more than 200ths behind to give yourself a chance of taking victory. So let's see that in action. So here's the example in the TSS. Press play. Okay. So in this instance, racer A has got to the finish line first by 300ths. Okay. It's the margin of victory, if you like, it's 300ths. They need to be 200ths or less. They need to be back here. So racer B has actually taken the win in this instance because they've broken out by less than their opponent because they were able to get more than 200s behind. So once again, more than 200s behind if you, in this instance, when you do not have the reaction time advantage. Well, there you go. That wraps up the basic math for bracket racing. We talked about calculating the total package, calculating the margin of victory. What does locked out mean, or mathematically ineligible? Why having the better reaction time is a huge advantage. And what happens if you don't have the reaction time advantage? See you in the next video.